If you ever started to look or try to find the best places to start your tech career with no degrees and no experience, you've probably been bombarded by advertisements and lists that weren't written by people who actually work in the field. In this video, I'm going to go over the absolute best tech jobs you can start your career with, and I'm also going to go over the absolute worst careers. If you're new to my channel, this channel is everything that I wish I had known when I started my tech career 10 years ago. This tier list is based on what I've experienced. I've actually worked in many of these roles in the last 10 years. It's also based on the difficulty level and the frequency it shows up on Indeed. At the end of the video, I'll go over the absolute best place you can start your tech career in 2024 that will save you hundreds and thousands of dollars and endless hours of doing research. Let's get started. The absolute worst place to start is a cybersecurity and IT manager. Now, these people, a cybersecurity manager is in charge of the security organization and making sure people are following those security procedures and policies. And an IT manager is responsible for the IT operations and ensuring everything is running correctly. Now, this is going on my F tier 100%. This is not a good career to start with. It needs many years of experience and many advanced cybersecurity and IT certifications. The next role on my list is a Chief Information Security Officer. There is also a BISO, a Business Information Security Officer. They are a chief level executive that is in charge of the entire organization security posture. This is by no means a entry-level role and is extremely difficult to land even for seasoned professionals. And so this is going in F tier. The next role on my list that may not be as difficult as a CISO or a manager role is a cybersecurity engineer. This is not a good place for a beginner to start. And if you try to land a cybersecurity engineer position, you're going to be competing with people who have 5 years of experience in IT or software development. As a cybersecurity engineer, you're going to be focused on either troubleshooting or installing systems, or you're going to be doing a really niche thing on a proprietary system that company has. Because of that, this is going in F tier. It is more of a mid to senior level role. The next role that I wouldn't suggest for anyone starting out in their tech career is a network engineer. While some people think networking is dying, it's not, it's just changing. And a lot of network engineers now work at data centers, and data centers are extremely complicated. And I wouldn't suggest anyone start their journey learning data centers because data centers are insane. You really have to love networking, but there is high frequency of these jobs because of the difficulty level. It's going in F tier, not a good place to start your tech career with no degrees and no experience. The next job on my list is a project manager. A project manager is an entry-level role, but an IT project manager is usually a specialization that project managers move into. It is a high frequency role, and it's not going to be automated by AI, as it is a very complex role. But if you don't already know how IT operations work, or the security or the dev teams, it's going to be really hard to start out here, and you're not going to have any idea what's going on. That's the reason it's going on my F tier. The next really popular career that I get asked about a lot is an IT auditor. IT auditor examines and evaluates a company's security posture by going through their policies, their computer systems, and their infrastructure to make sure they're in compliance with either the company's policies or the government's policies such as HIPAA and GDPR. This is pretty frequent, but not super high. But the thing is, with an IT auditor, while you can start out and there is entry-level roles, entry-level IT auditor roles are a little bit difficult to land, mostly because most organizations are extremely risk adverse, and hiring someone with no degree and no experience into a security position such as an IT auditor is scary. It's not the most technical job, and I wouldn't say it's very difficult to do, but getting hired for that role is difficult because you are a risk to the company in that position. The next career on my list is a UI and a UX designer. This one is for more creative people, and if you really like to design things and then make a better customer user experience, then UI UX design may be for you. This one is pretty fair for beginners to start with. You 100% can start with, but the level of competition versus the number of frequency is pretty moderate. You need to understand the flow of things, and you need to have a incredible patience, because sometimes you'll just be moving a button around 50 times on a web page and doing back and forth on Figma. Because of that, I'm putting it in C tier. The next role is a system administrator. Now, these are basically maintenance for computer systems, and usually at a level up than tier 1 help desk. Sometimes this is tier 3 of the IT help desk. They call them system administrators. You can absolutely start here, but more mid-level people are system administrators than not. There's an intense amount of system administrators. The position isn't going away. AI isn't going to automate these things. Because of that, I'm putting it in C tier. The next career that is not too difficult to start with is a GRC analyst. There are a moderate amount of GRC analyst positions that are entry level. Now, basically, you're going to be focusing, similar to what the IT auditor is, making sure that they're in compliance with regulatory policies and procedures. And oftentimes, you'll just be doing what the IT auditor doesn't really want to do. Keep in mind, just like the IT auditor, GRC is usually located at large enterprise networks, and usually they love people with degrees. It's not impossible to break in without a degree or experience on this. It just may be a little bit more difficult and require a little bit more creativity, and that's why I'm putting it on C tier. The next role is a software developer. Now, this can range from entry level to senior level, and there's an insane amount of software developer roles, and AI isn't going to automate that, believe it or not. Now, in terms of difficulty of learning, it's a little bit more difficult to learn than other things on this list. The amount of jobs that it has and the amount of career prospects you're going to have and the frequency that it shows up on job boards, this is a B tier role. Once you get in your first 6 to 1 year, you basically are set. The next role that everybody wants to know about is a SOC Analyst. SOC Analyst is the first line of defense for the security team, and usually you're going to be analyzing and monitoring maybe traffic, and then maybe updating attack signature sets, or if you're lucky, maybe you'll do a little bit of threat hunting and malware analysis in this role. Usually it's just triaging alerts. Is this a false positive? Is this a negative? Everyone says this is not an entry-level role. I believe 100% that this is an entry-level role. If you have previous IT experience, you should aim a little bit higher. This is going on my B tier. The reason being is there's an intense amount of competition to become a SOC analyst. There's not an insane amount of SOC analyst jobs, but there is an insane amount of applicants, and so that's causing pay to go down a lot. There are other ways to start in security. The next career on my list is cloud support. Cloud support is going to grow exponentially, and basically you're just going to be servicing cloud providers and then troubleshooting cloud issues. This one is a little bit more difficult to break into. Learning cloud is a little bit difficult too, because it's a little bit more abstract than the other jobs within, say, IT. So the difficulty level of learning it is higher, but the frequency amount of jobs is super high. And I would say if you could start at a cloud support engineer type of role, this is where you really want to start. That's why this is going to go on my A tier. The next role is near and dear to my heart, and that is a network administrator. I was a network administrator, and essentially in this position, you're just doing tier 2, tier 3, and monitoring the networks and making sure the internet doesn't go out. This is an early to mid career. You can 100% start here. There's also tons of different network admin jobs at various companies. The best thing about being a network administrator is you'll probably work in a NOC, or a network operation center, and usually, not always, Network operation centers are super slow, so you'll have tons and tons of downtime to basically essentially do whatever you want to do, including doing WGU certs and certificates. So if you want a slower paced, more chill job, try to get a job in a network operation center. That is why the network administrator role is going on my A tier. I know all of you were waiting. What is the next job? So IT support is, I'm sure you've heard of it, is the first line of defense for the IT department. So you're going to be dealing with user complaints and phone calls and then triaging tickets and then pointing them to where they should go. This is where I started my career, and this is also where many other people that work in cybersecurity and software development also started their career. Now, you don't have to start here. You can start at any of the other jobs. It's just the path of least resistance, and sometimes you just need to get started, and so the help desk will be there for you. Also, there's an insane amount of jobs, which is why it's going on, despite whether or not you like it, it's going on my S tier. The next job is a data analyst. Essentially, these people turn data into important stories for businesses to make decisions off. As an entry-level data analyst, you'll probably just be cleaning data and spreadsheets and doing that type of work. This is a fantastic entry-level role to start, and it's only going to be increasing as time goes, especially with machine learning, AI, and LLMs, and all of that. If you're someone who likes spreadsheets, this is a great place to start. It also pays pretty well for an entry-level role. That is why this is going in my S tier. The next role is for those extroverts and people who enjoy talking to people. If you're watching this, you probably don't, but that is tech sales. So tech sales is a really easy place to start. And the thing about tech sales is usually the company will teach you about that product and service, and you'll learn how the whole business works, which will be very valuable to later. It's pretty easy to get hired. Also, there's an insane amount of roles within tech sales, and potentially sales pays more than any of the careers that I've mentioned in this video. That is why it's going on my S tier. The next role is a data center technician. This one is pretty new role that not a lot of people talk about. I live near a data center, so I see this role all of the time. But essentially, you're going to work at a data center, and these are becoming more common, and you're going to maintain the data center. It's going to be more hands-on and then less sitting on a computer and then typing things all day. It's 100% an entry-level role, and it's going to increase a lot in terms of numbers. These are usually on-site positions, and usually you do have to live near a data center. So this one is a little bit more regional than it is not regional. That is why it's going on my S tier. You may be really overwhelmed with all of these roles and like, where do you even start learning these roles, right? I came across a resource with tons of testimonials that I decided to check them out and went through a few of the courses, and they are phenomenal. And that is Course Careers. Essentially, Course Careers takes industry professionals and then they create really great material to teach you exactly that skill that you need to learn the job. They only teach you what you need to know to pass that interview. It's hands-on and project-based. At the end of a lot of these, you also have a portfolio of work. It's what I wish I had when I started out my career 10 years ago. I probably would have saved myself a lot of time and heartache jumping job to job if I had just chosen the right job from the start instead of not really knowing what exactly goes on. You can get started basically today with absolutely no commitment. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.